Hi guys and welcome to yet another devcast. Today I'm going to talk about updates on Instance Painter. Mainly updates that came from feedback, internal and also external. So let's jump right into it. As you can see, the menu changed a bit. There is a new button which is the cluster tool, because as you know, in previous versions the cluster tool was under modify. But since I did some other changes, I think it will be more streamlined to have a separate tool for clustering. So now if you go to cluster tool, it is similar to the how you worked with it in the modify tool, but it's a separate tool set, so yeah, you can use it like that. One of the reasons why this was moved here is because color painting on instances, on already existing instances, was moved to modify tool, because now all the color information is part of the paint definition, not part of paint tool. So if you paint instances now with the white color, uh, there is like no way to modify color using paint tool, because this information is here. But if you go to the modify tool, you see now modify tool has the color parameter, so I can go and change the color using the shift and change the color of the instances. So that's why the things were moved, because now you can specify your active paint definitions or your paint definitions in your asset files that already will have the color information as well as the maximum distance and so on. So it's part of the definition. So if you have this kind of trees or something, or the coloring will be part of your definitions, and you will not need to change it always to the correct color inside the instance painter, inside the paint tool. So, and you can still modify if you want to, but you will use the modify tool for that. Uh, One more thing that came as a feature from our internal guys is that using modify tool and moving the instances was not raycasting the instances, it was raycasting the tool itself. So if you moved this, the whole all these like 10 trees were moving in using the same position. So now if you move the instances, the raycasting works per instance. So now if you move them, all of them will be raycast into the valid geometry under it. So you can move them around in the terrain as well. You can disable it, and this is the as you can see, this is the old way. So it only the central position of the brush is raycast, but they all the instances stay in the same position. Whereas if you use raycasting, all of them will be raycast to the valid geometry. And finally, outside of minor fixes with serialization and how I approach paint definitions and so on, there is a new feature when you are painting instances for the color. Came as a feature request as well, and it is color distribution. So now you can specify a gradient, and if you paint like I'm painting here 11 instances, all of them will get a randomized value based on this gradient. So if I can start painting, you see that they'll get a random value from this between these two colors. And you can paint kind of a variation on these trees or forest, or how to call it. I will add probably more color distribution options as I see fit, and as I hear from you guys from the feedback. What do you want actually? So let me know if there is another color distribution that you are looking for. The fall off distribution or the modification using the fall off is still there. If I paint the trees like here, it's the fall off applies to modify tool. So if I specify that I want the green and I paint it, all of them will be green. Whereas when I specify the fall off, you see only the center will have this color, and the fall off from the center of the brush to the side of the brush will have less and less of that color applied. So it's like alpha based brush. So you can paint very slowly with some nice variations. And finally, there is a breaking change. I want to mention it last because I was refactoring the definitions. So these are now paint definitions. It's a different class. Before all these changes, the old class was called instance definition, and I don't think it matched the representation of itself. So now, if you have active paint definitions inside your instance painter, they will be removed, and you need to assign them as new. And your old assets, if you have definitions here, will no longer work. You need to migrate them. So let me show you. For example, this one is already migrated to paint definition, and I have these two, which is the old from the 0.6 version, and you can simply take it and use the inspector I provided and just migrate it to the new format. So it will be changed to paint definition, and it will have the same properties, and you can now even use the color distribution and so on. So you need to migrate them. It will basically delete this asset and create a new asset in its place with a different class. Which this is a paint definition, this is the instant definition, which is obsolete. So this is all for the 0.7 version. I will be publishing it today. It's already on GitHub. So if you want to try it, just feel free and grab it. And I'm looking to forward any feedback you guys provide and feature requests and so on. I always like to hear from the community and work on interesting stuff. So thank you very much.